Hey man, welcome back. Now a couple weeks ago I walked through the Japanese streets and I saw those cool light bulb text signs. I don't know how they're called, but I thought they were pretty cool, and I was wondering if there was a way to do something like that in Fusion, like very easily. And the first thought that came up was expressions. And I said no, expressions are just too difficult. I mean, it's not for everyone. And me personally, I also can't really say that I'm good at it. Yeah. But so I wanted to have a way that is very, very easy. Yeah. So last weekend I was sitting by the river, because I like to sit by the river. You know, get all kinds of inspirational waves. So I was sitting there doing some contemplating. If you don't know what it means giving a thought a much deeper thought. So I was sitting there doing my contemplating when that cat came along, and she sat right in front of me. And I was like, "Hey, catty, I'm busy." And the cat went like, "Meow." "Seriously, catty, I'm doing some contemplating." Meow. So communication didn't go so well with the cat, so I thought, why not including her, into my contemplating. And so I asked her about my problem, and she was actually responding. And it went something like this. "I know the solution, but I don't give it to you." "What? You stupid cat." "I'm not stupid." Yeah, you are stupid." "No." "Well, yeah, you are." "Gay." Okay. Eventually that cat gave me the solution, and that's what I'm going to show you now. So guys, let's start with our awesome quickie. LightBulbAction. Hey! So let me show you what we got here. So on the left side here, you can find the 3D scene that I used to create this text. Now this is not everything, and it's mostly grouped here. And also I deleted most of the stuff. We only need the camera and the object. So then on the top here, there is our light bulb. If I show you, this is the light bulb. And I use an ellipse mask to cut away all the unnecessary stuff here. Then I changed the depth to 16-bit float, and I added a gamut to put it into linear color space. And then I used an auto cropping here to crop this down. And I resized the whole thing down because this size is just sufficient. Now let's assume we have this text here and we want to place light bulbs along this inner red frame here. So how can we do that? Now we have this animated camera, so it's kind of difficult to do. So a good start would be to have a still image of this animation, and preferably somewhere where the text faces the camera the most. It happened to be frame 30. So let's select the loader, and now we go into the trim in and trim out, and we set it to 30, both of them. And then we check loop, so it gets looped throughout the whole time. Now we have a perfect still frame here. That's good for the 2D image here, but we also have to take care of our 3D scene. Because if I view this here, and let me set this to the camera, if I play this through here, you can see that the camera is still animated. So, first thing, make sure you back up your camera. Just copy the camera over, and then let's rename this one to still camera. Oops. Camera. Still camera. Okay, so select the camera and then open the spline view here. Display all the curves. And we go to frame 30. Now you can see that at frame 30 we don't have no key here. So go to the transform tab, right click on any of these ribbons here and set key on translate group. Now we have to select all the keys before that key and delete it. Also the same with the keys after it. And we're good to go. Now our 3D scene matches perfectly to the footage. Okay, so where are we going from here now? How would you place those light bulbs now on this frame? Now some of you guys would probably drop in a merge, and you would probably do something like this. You would do something like this, and then here in between or before the merge you would add a transform. And it would go in and you would drink a whiskey first to get prepared to this hardcore action. I will go in like here, and then you would make a you know, from here, you would merge this in here, display this, and then you would move the second one over here. And I see you next year. So this is certainly not the way to go. This is not what Fusion is all about. Fusion is about efficiency. Another problem that comes with this method is, if I can show you, and that's very important because this method here is technically not correct. And I'll show you why. For example, select a transform and let's give this thing a temporary animation here. Just, I want to show you something. So I'm going to animate this, let's say frame 10. I move this over. Let's say here, and then I go to frame 20. And I press Alt. If you press Alt, you can click anywhere in your viewer to animate your objects, okay? Then I go to frame 30. Again, Alt, and I do this. And that should be fine now. I just want to show you something. I select those keys here, and I press Shift S to smooth the curves out, okay? Well, it doesn't really matter. So now if I hit play, you can see that it's actually animated and all is fine. At least it seems fine. But what is the problem now? The problem is that at the moment, if I go back to the transform, you can see the light bulb is not in the domain here. So the domain you see here doesn't match with the domain of our footage. So the resolution is different. The problem arises when you add something like the magic tool trails. Okay, let me go back to frame 0 and I hit reset, and I'm going to show you what happens now. If I hit play, you can see the light bulb disappeared. There's no light bulb. So where is it? Now the thing is, the light bulb is out of this domain here. And by using a trail, the trail will actually use the domain that comes from here and will only process what is in that domain. It will pass on that to the merge. But because our light bulb is not in the domain anymore, it basically will not pass anything through. Technically, it's incorrect. But let me show you the correct way. See, our light bulb is back. So the correct way to do something like this is to use a background tool, and we bring down the alpha so that we have an empty image. And now we merge the light bulb on this background first. And by doing so, we are giving this light bulb a new domain here, which is absolutely the same domain as the footage, full HD. Now, if we append a transform after this now, my window appeared on the second screen for some reason. Let me append another transform here, and I hook this into the merge. So, and now we do the same thing. Click animate, and I'm going to animate this. Okay, so I go to frame 10 and I move this over, and frame 20, and again, move this over, and 30. Don't worry about the curves now. Just want to show you as an example. So here we have this animated light bulb. Now the cool thing is, if I go back to the transform, we will still see the same light bulb. It won't disappear. And if I add a tray tool now, go back to frame 0, hit restart, and if I hit play now, the trail is working correctly. This is technically correct. So another thing I want to tell you about the trail while we're here. The trail tool is a very powerful tool in Fusion. It's a magic tool. But most people, especially the ones who are new to Fusion, don't know how to use it. They think it's just a tool that you just slap into your comp and then you just use it as an ordinary tool like the other tools. But it's actually not the case. The trail tool is meant to be saved out using a saver. Okay, but let's not worry about that anymore. Now I'm gonna show you how to scatter this light bulb along this red frame. So we're going to separate the upper frame, or the upper line, and the bottom line. So let me just take care of the first line first. So at frame 0, just move this thing up to the originating point. Let me just clear the animation here, remove path, and then again animate. And I want to bring down the size. I want to make this thing tiny, something like that. Maybe a little bit more. So, and I decided to make a key on every 10th frame. So I go to frame 10 and now I animate this thing up. Now, a very important thing is that you have to try to keep this distance from one key to another even, because that will decide if your light bulbs will be spaced evenly. And that is very important. It's very crucial. Okay, so let's say about this distance here. So I move to the frame 30 and I animate it down here, and then frame 40 and I go down here, frame 50. So I will do a time lapse now to save some time. Basically, we do this until we arrive at the end, so there's nothing special. So here, you want to make sure that we arrive just at the corner. That's probably the most important stop point here. Okay, so I've animated this light bulb along our path, and now I want to take all the points that are not on a corner and I want to smooth them out by hitting Shift S. Not those here. Now, even though it doesn't match perfectly now, don't worry about this. We're going to take care of this later when we match it to our 3D mesh. So what is important is, before we put this thing on an image plane, we need to make sure that the aspect ratio will not change dramatically, or preferably not at all. For that, we need to actually finish this upper line as well. And I'm going to do that. I hit pause. It's 100% the same procedure, so nothing different. I'm going to hit pause and I'm going to finish this upper line here. And I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so I've done the upper border as well, as you can see here. And now the problem with this border is that due to the nature of the curvature here, we might get a different speed of the light bulb. It's just like with car racing, you know, when you go into a strong curve, you just go faster, or you just seem to be faster. We would have to compensate this by adjusting those points here. But yeah, for now, let's just go ahead and let me show you how to actually scatter those light bulbs now. Now, once we have this path, we can use the path to scatter those light bulbs along it. And the way we do that is just so cool. Now, for now, let me just show you how it looks at the moment. Okay, if I hit play, you can see what I meant. So I adjusted here a little bit so that the light bulbs would basically be at the same height around here. But because of that, this light bulb here is a little bit faster here on this corner. You can adjust this anytime. So let me show you how to actually scatter this. Now, a very simple, cheesy way to create scattered light bulbs is by using a simple saver. Now, before we do that, I need to go one step ahead because it's very crucial for this to work. I need to bake those transform nodes here with a key on every second frame. Only then the trail trick that I'm going to show you now will work. And also very important is that we set the key interpolation to stepped. Important is it has to be an EXR file, and we're going to save this out here now. I hook this merge here with the light bulbs only into the saver. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to render this out. But I set the settings not to final, but preview. And I set it to steps 2. Steps 2, I decided to have a key on every second step. This will give me the right distance I want to have for the light bulbs. And I start the render. Now this thing gets rendered out. Okay, render complete. Okay, now if I bring this back in with a loader, you can already see in this loading window that those frames here are missing. So, but we open it anyway, and we just say missing frames, hold previews. Now, if I play now, what you will get is basically a stepped animation. Now, it's a little bit hard to see, but this is actually stepped. There are missing frames in there. In order to scatter this, we could use the magic tool, the tray tool now. Go to frame 0. View the tray tool, and if you hit play now, you can see the magic happening. Okay, cool, but we're gonna use a different method. What we can do instead is we can use a duplicate tool, not the crocodile one, and we hook this into the duplicate. Let's preview this on our footage. Now, at the moment, not much happens. But if you take a look at the duplicate tool, it has this time offset function here. And if we put this to 2, you can see that our light bulb count starts to increase. Now we've set this to copies 2. Let's set this to copy 50 and look what happens. Let's go even further. Let's go like 100. So should be fine. Now we can use this duplicate tool to pre-visualize our light bulbs so we can see where we have some problems here. So here you could see that the light bulb was moving much faster. That's why we have many light bulbs or more light bulbs here. And here it looks kind of perfect. And we can also use this to adjust the path, so it matches perfectly. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. And we put this on an image plane. And then we merge this together here. Or to make it a little bit clean, let's put it here. And I'm gonna view this now. Let me get 2 viewers here. One for this one. And perhaps this one. So now we need to match this image plane so that we can do our fine adjustments. And for that, we add a transform 3D. And now we're gonna move this over. And in order to have a better visualization, we could do a little trick here. First, turn off lights, then add a replace material here. And now the material gets replaced, but this is not what we actually want. We want to actually keep the material, but we multiply it. We multiply it with a darker color. And by doing so, our lights start to pop out. And now we can do much better adjustments here. So back to our transform 3D. So I guess this thing needs to be scaled. You can use control to do fine adjustments. And this doesn't have to be perfect. Just match it so it covers the most areas of the frame. And the fine adjustments we will do by changing the path, the animation path. I think that's good here. Let's go with this one. So this is our placement. And now we can go back to our transform. And we can start adjusting our path. Let's go up here. And to get a little bit more speed, especially me with recording in the background, I will deactivate high quality and activate the auto proxy. And now let's get started here. I move this up. Now this is a little bit slow here. But now you can see you can match this perfectly. I'm sure on your machine it will be much faster. Okay, and now we continue here. So you can also adjust the handles here to make it match perfectly. Hit Shift S again to readjust the tangent. And again, I'm gonna do a time lapse. Gonna finish this and I'll be back in a second. And make sure after you adjust your keys, make sure to hit Shift S on that key. to recalculate the tangent. Okay, I'm back and I've done my precision work here. Doesn't look too bad. It's not perfect, but yeah, you can do it better. Okay, so once we have our satisfaction here, we need to save this out as an image. So I just view the duplicate here and just do save image and save it as like light bulb scatter. Wow, this is so much bigger. Okay. So then we bring it back in. Light bulb scatter. Let's get rid of this one here. Light bulb scatter. Okay, so now we have our lights, and these are basically the light bulbs that are turned off, default state, and they're white because they just happen to be white light bulbs. So the ones that are going to be switched on will become super bright. And yes, you can see I have a box here that is called light switch. Before we do that, before we create our light switch, there's another crucial step we have to do. Those two transform nodes here that we animated before, let's make a backup of these. Just grab them and copy them over here. So these are backups. Now, we need to, at the moment, if you check the spline, we have a key at every 10th frame. Our duplicate, we set a time offset of 2. It means we have to put this, we have to bake this transform here, script, bake animation, and we set it to steps 2, same as with a duplicate. So we want to have a key on every second step. Very important, you have to be at frame 0, otherwise you get some spikes going on here. Okay, so steps 2, and then we bake it out, and we do the same with this transform. Right click, script, bake animation, set it to 2, and just hit OK. Now select both of them transform nodes, go into the spline editor, and view all of them, select all keys, and then we choose right click and choose step in. And what happens if you zoom in now, you can see that we get those steps. So no in between frames. Now, if you append or add another duplicate from this merge, let's view this and let's just clear the view. I'll put this one in here. Okay, now if we hit play, you can see our light bulbs are just there, our twins. But now we can go into this duplicate and we can offset the time. Let's say 2. And you can see now we have 4 light bulbs. Okay, but also because we have only 2 copies. Now we could increase this to, let's say, 10. We can also offset the time maybe more. And we get something like this. You can also use 6. 8. We can use more copies. Now this is so awesome. I'm so excited about this because it's so easy to do and it's just so, I don't know. Okay, now you can create all kinds of variations here. Now what we do with this, now this is basically our light switch, and we can use this, for example, to drive a mask. And then we use a brightness contrast on our light bulb scatter. And with that mask, we say, okay, these light bulbs here are going to be super bright. Now let's see what happens now. So you can already see there's some light bulbs here with a super bright pixels, like RGB is like around 7. And although it's hard to see now, if you add a soft glow, it will show much, much stronger. And if we crank up the threshold, we can cramp it up until it affects only those super bright pixels here. Something like this. It's always a good idea to use 2 or 3 soft glows. For example, 1 very small, and then sort of a wider glow. But also here, we increase the threshold a little bit. Something like this. And we change the color later. I just want to show you the effect at the moment. So let's hit play. Now it starts to get like super fun because we can create all kinds of variations here. Now you can make it Christmas, you can make it Las Vegas, you can make confusion. And let's play with the duplicate a little bit. For example, let's set this to 2 again. Now you can see this one here. And what we can do is that we are not limited to one duplicate. We can create another duplicate and we can offset this one, let's say, I don't know, maybe 6. Maybe it's not enough. Maybe we have to offset it and only 2 copies. We just want the same light bulbs here, just offset it. And I'm not sure exactly. Maybe, yeah. Okay. Yeah, something like this. And now we get this action here. Now, you're not limited to this one. You can go further and further. Now, you don't have to only use those integer values here. For example, you can also use 2.5 and create some strange effects. Something like this. So it would kind of go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, but still advance. So that's also kind of interesting what you can do here. So once we're done with this, once we're satisfied with our light action here, we take this construction and we put it on our image plane. And let's move in to our 3D space. Now the interesting thing is that if I render this out now, you can see that it still carries those super bright pixels. That's the cool thing about working in 16-bit float or 32-bit, whatever you choose. Working in float is just so awesome because it gives you so much freedom. I mean, look at this. I mean, it transfers all those bright pixels. You don't lose anything. Now we can go in and render this out. But of course, we want only the light bulbs. So how can we do this? We just get rid of this here and instead we add an override. We set the met to do met and is met. And bang. And we can now get this result. And here we have our LightBulbAction text. And we just put this on top of it. And here we go. Now our image is still not moving. Our camera is still. So we need to revert this. The first thing we do is we take our image and we put this back to 0 and 199. Loop we can leave on. And we just exchange our camera again with the original camera. And bang! We got a perfect match going on here. Another thing I want to do is, since this is not real 3D, here I was a little bit slobby. Since this is not real 3D, you could go in here and add a shadow. Let me view the alpha. I'm just going to move this shadow down a little bit, ever so slightly. And you might be able to see it. Hey. Now you can see it really looks like we have some objects going on here. That's very simple to fake, you know. Okay, that is looking good, but it still doesn't have this Las Vegas feel. In order to add that, we actually take our soft glow, we move it down here, and then we just hook our image here into the soft glow. And let's see what happens. Okay, yep. And we want to adjust the colors now. This white is just boring, so let's open the color scale and let's bring down the blue. And we leave this a little yellowish. And then we add another soft glow. This one we're gonna make reddish. Something like this. Maybe give it a stronger glow. Yeah, look how this pops now. Wow, this is so cool. I'm so excited. Okay, but this is actually, we can bring this further, okay? by actually, even though it doesn't make any sense, we can actually put another soft glow in front of our image plane. Before we go into the image plane, we put another soft glow. And this gives us some sort of illumination effect, like the light bulbs are illuminating the text. Certainly we don't want that so strong. So let's just bring this down a bit. There's a look here. Yeah, maybe something like that. Okay, I think that this is it. I mean, we could bring this even further by adding like highlights, for example. But for now, let's just see how this looks. I'm gonna cache this and I'll be right back. Okay, I've cached this thing and let's view it. Let's set this to ping pong. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this awesome tutorial. If you like what I'm doing, please support me on Patreon. Just with a $1 pledge, you can have access to all them quickies. And yeah, so my name is Vito. I'll see you soon. Until then, enjoy what you're doing.